of maybe having a quarterback spy or really trying to read what Dante Moore can do because he can make every throw on the field, but he's also got a ton of speed and a ton of athleticism. I guess what have you kind of seen on tape that is really you're going to kind of focus on throughout the next few days?
Uh, Sorry, you say that
Like
one more time?
the importance of like having a quarterback spy or reading what Dante Moore's going to do because he's such a lethal thrower, but he's got a ton of speed as well, so he can get outside the pocket and maybe look to gash you guys in the QB run game.
Yeah, I think at the linebacker position, we work to have like our eyes back. So work into our pass matches and things like that, but also having eyes back so we can see, okay, if he would be to break the pocket or if it would be a quarterback draw, things like that that we're able to fall back and help on those things. I would say that's probably the biggest thing from the linebacker position. So.
How quickly are you able to marry your instincts with your knowledge and how you've been able to process and see things over the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think the more reps you get, the more confident you get, and the more that kind of meshes together. But the coaches do a great job of game planning for us and kind of allowing those instincts to mesh with the game plan, which is good. So I think it's usually like a weekly thing. Monday practice. You make mistakes, it's new game plan, things like that, and then as practices go on throughout the week, you get better and better, and then obviously by Saturday, you feel super confident with the game plan, and then it all just kind of flows together that way.
Because I'm sure when you're watching, you got to watch your keys, you got to watch pre-snap, you got to look, and you already got your call, then you might need to switch your call or at least adjust gaps or whatever. You're doing all this thinking and pre-snap. How quickly can you go from thinking and pre-snap to reacting as soon as the ball is snapped?
I think a lot of that comes down to like your game or your preparation and the tape you've watched, knowing what teams can give you out of certain looks, and I think that's the biggest thing because then your game plan and the instincts kind of flow together because you know that hey this tight end's going to stay or this tight end's going to divide, which means we can get these two plays, and then when you see something that that gives that away, then you just go. So I think it's a little bit of both there, but it comes down to watching tape and preparing. So
You've obviously played behind Jay for a couple of years. Jack was here, what, your first year?
yeah.
What did you take away from them? Not on the field, they're different players on the field, but as far as and how they processed the game, how they prepared for the game, and then how did that affect you in your processing and how you prepared for games?
Yeah, I think two things stick out. Is just how hard those guys worked on the field, and then off the field, the amount of time that they spent in the film room. I'd walk in at a random time during the day, and Jay or Jack sitting in there watching tape, preparing for the opponent. So I think those are probably the two biggest things that I took away from those guys, and I've learned from and tried to imitate a little bit to help my own game.
Did they ever kind of hopefully correct you on the field, like, hey, I'm seeing this. This is what you need to do, or at any time?
Oh yeah, all the time. Fall camp through game plans and all those things. Those guys are just as much coaches the younger guys as they are, playing for themselves. So they did a great job for me of coaching and saying, hey, misfit here because of this, or things like that. So they were very helpful in that way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is typically the game where you guys will wear an American flag Tiger Hawk on the side of your helmet when it's the Veterans Appreciation Game. What is cool about being able to honor those who served our country that way?
Oh, I mean, it's unbelievable. The sacrifice that so many Americans, every single day do so that we can play a game on Saturdays is, I mean, I'm unbelievably appreciative. It's fantastic. So to be able to play with that Tiger Hawk on the helmet is special. It's super excited for the opportunity. So.
And then Coach Ferentz likes to kind of joke with us a little bit during the press conferences, slip a joke in and here and there. And the one he likes to do when we're asking about you is that you're maybe not the tallest guy in the world. Is that something you kind of battled your entire life in terms of like you're not maybe the tallest guy and that you've been overlooked because of that?
Yeah, I would say up until about 7th grade, I was one of the bigger kids, and then I quit growing and everyone kept going. But so that's kind of been something through high school and obviously the time that I've been here that I've heard about. But I've never really let that be an excuse for me. Really just focused on how I can improve and prepare and just get better each and every single day. So that's not an issue, I guess.
Is there anything different to preparing as the starter as compared to maybe the second string or the third string guy?
I would say, one of my goals at the beginning of the year before the season started was, I didn't know if I'd be the guy. I didn't know if I would, was going to be the backup guy or where that was going to fall. So my goal was I was going to prepare like the starter, whether or not I was that guy. And the first however many games of the season I wasn't that guy, but I prepared as if I was. And then obviously Jayden went down versus Indiana, and you're prepared. You're like, all right, here we go. You step in. So that's kind of been my mindset. So I would say there's not really any difference for me.
Thanks, Jayden.
Yeah.